Hello and welcome to the Trying Animal Podcast with Wesley Bear. I am your host, Wesley Bear, and on today's episode, we will be talking about a very special duck, the Torrent duck. The Torrent duck is a pretty regular sized duck from South America, high up in the Andes Mountains, located all the way from Peru all the way down the western coast to Chile and Argentina. So definitely a wide-ranging bird in a sense, but very much restricted to those high Andes mountains. Um, the bird is again a regular sized duck, being about 17 inches long and about a pound. Now, of course, as you can guess from its name, torrent duck, it loves torrents. And of course, a torrent is just a rush of water. So, of course, being high up in the mountains of the Andes, that's where all the snow melt occurs. So, as the snow melts, it creates a giant rush of water that streams down the mountain slopes into streams and rivers, and as that water comes pouring down, it creates just a giant uh tidal wave almost. Not a real tidal wave, but basically just a giant cascade of cold, icy water. And that's where torrent ducks love to swim in. Uh, Torrent ducks, you're wondering probably how do they manage to withstand all that cold, icy water and live in it? Because they will actually dive underwater to find grubs, small fishies, larvae of insects, some crustaceans, and they'll dive down and can stay down underwater for about 15 to 20 seconds. Um, so, what keeps a torrent duck from just getting washed away? Well, a couple things. First, like all ducks, it has very, very powerful feet. Like all ducks, they're webbed and big, splayed out. So, definitely advantage, but that still doesn't help, especially if you're trying to stay underwater long enough to find food. But they actually have specialized tail feathers. These tail feathers will basically stiffen like a board and keep the animal planted in uh, the ground, in the gravel, in the dirt of the water streams below, and that'll keep them there until they're ready to go up for another breath of air. Um, Again, they're great swimmers, so they can easily paddle upstream if they need to, and of course, being a bird, they can fly if need be, should they run into something where there's just the water's too rough, and especially if there's giant waterfalls, right? They can't really swim up that much, but they do have those powerful web feet and that powerful tail that basically allows them to live in those rushing waters without fear of just going down stream and over rocks and to their deaths. Pretty amazing. So torrent ducks, male and female. The female, of course, is somewhat duller than the male, mostly brown and somewhat orange. Meanwhile, as you can see from the drawing, you'll see what a male looks like. Very pretty, colorful, iridescent wings, black uh, stripes along a white chest, and basically a giant mask around the eyes and that white face, and then highlighted, of course, by that great red bill. So not only do torrent ducks swim and feed in those rushing waters, but they also will have their eggs basically in the rushing water, not actually on top of the water, but they'll usually find an embankment close or in the water that's high up, usually a giant rock, and that's where they'll lay their eggs, about 3 to 5 eggs. They're actually a somewhat orangish color, and they're actually much larger than normal duck eggs, actually. This is because, of course, since torrent ducks are adapted to live in these very rough, tough waters of the Andes, um, baby ducks need to be able to deal with that water themselves. So the eggs are about 2.5 inches long, which is somewhat bigger than a normal duck egg. And so when those baby ducks are ready to hatch, they'll be just ready within hours to even sometimes minutes of just diving headfirst into the water. And of course, living high up in the Andes where there's rushing water all around adds an equal layer of protection for the parents and babies alike. And very few animals, foxes, bears, cougars, would dare to even enter such uh, extreme environments of water. So it's also a great place of safety. And the ability of these ducks to basically adapt to that environment is pretty spectacular. So there you are, the torrent duck. Um, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Again, remember I have my books, The Crazy Creatures series by Wesley Bear on Amazon. And again, I will provide a link either in the description or in the comments. And you can always check out my other work. I will occasionally post zoo videos, and I will also and am doing an Ungulate Wednesday. So I do that every Wednesday. So you can go and check that out as well. It's kind of basically a shortened version of what I do on the Drawing Animal podcast, and you won't see the drawing produced in this way. Just a full drawing with a brief kind of overview of the animal in a minute format. So, uh, and there'll always be an ungulate because I like ungulates and I wanted to get one out in a much quicker fashion while making them shorter and easier to produce. So you can check those out as well. Uh, enjoy nature, enjoy God's creation, enjoy drawing, and have a wonderful